Okay, hello everyone. This is Gemara review video number 3. We have finished the Mishnah on Daf Bet Amud Aleph, Berakhot page 2a, and we are moving fast onto the first part of the Gemara, which is going to analyze the Mishnah. So, as we saw in the Nearpod, the Gemara is going to start with two big questions on the Mishnah. Here we go. Question number 1. The Mishnah started off with the word me'ematai. From when can we start saying Kriyat Shema at night? But this is the very first page of the Gemara, and we haven't heard anything about there being an obligation to say Kriyat Shema at all. So the first question is, how does the Mishnah even know there's an obligation to say Kriyat Shema? How do we know that we have a command or a mitzvah to say Kriyat Shema at all? It's like, as we saw in the Nearpod, if someone texts you, hey, like, when is the latest or maybe the earliest I can hand in my English paper? And you respond back, what English paper? Like, we have to do an English paper? This is the first time hearing of it. You're asking me about a deadline, but I want to know, how do I know I even have an English paper due? So that's kind of what's going on here with our first question. And then our second question is, the Gemara is curious about why the Mishnah starts analyzing the obligation to say Kriyat Shema at night first. Like, if we're going to assume there's an obligation at all, which we have to solve when we answer the first question, if we have to say Kriyat Shema twice a day, in the morning and at night, b'shechacha v'kumecha, when you lay down, when you go to sleep, I mean, we'll come back to that pasuk a little bit later. Why are we starting with the night? Wouldn't it make more sense to start off with the day? Doesn't the day come first? Let's talk about the morning Kriyat Shema, and then later on, we'll talk about the night. Why is the Mishnah teaching about the night first? Why are we asking all these questions about when you can say Kriyat Shema at night? Shouldn't the Mishnah be asking, when can you say Kriyat Shema in the morning? So those are the two questions that we're about to see the Gemara is going to ask on the Mishnah. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's start reading the Gemara together. And we're going to start with questions, with some kushiot, with some hard challenges here to the Mishnah. And here we go. All right, so we have our little Gimel Mem, which is telling us the Gemara is starting. Here we go. Tana heicha kai diktani me'ematai. So here is question number 1. We can even put maybe a little, quote marks like around me'ematai, because we're kind of quoting the Mishnah over here. So Tana heicha kai diktani me'ematai. On the basis of what? Ktani means to teach, specifically in the Mishnah. So we're asking over here, when we see Tana heicha kai, on the basis of what diktani me'ematai, is the Tana, is the rabbi from our Mishnah, asking from when? On what basis is he asking from when do we read Kriyat Shema? Meaning, as we said before, how does he even know we have an obligation to read Kriyat Shema? Why is the Mishnah coming and saying from when? On the basis of what? How do we even know that we have that obligation, right? Don't ask us about when the English paper is due. Tell us, first of all, that we have an English paper due. So that is our first kushia. And then we're going to continue. Vito. Vito is a good transition word. I'm actually going to circle that. By circle, I mean square over here in black. Vito means kind of furthermore or additionally. So that's a good kind of stop sign that we're switching to a second question over here. So let's highlight our second question. Vito. My shna detani be'arvid beresha. And we're going to put a little bit of a question mark over here also. Now it's going to let me write. On my video, it's just not letting me write that far on the screen. So you can put a question mark after beresha. And then it continues on. Litni deshacharit beresha. And we'll put an exclamation point here. But everyone should put a question mark after the first beresha. So what's going over here? So Vito, furthermore, my shna means what's different, like shoneh. So we're saying over here, what's different kind of about the night, right? What's different kind of about the nighttime that we taught about the night in the Resha? Resha here means the beginning of our Mishnah, right? The very beginning, or at first. So we're asking, my shna detani ba'arvid beresha. What's so different about night, or what's so special about night that we started teaching about night first, right? Then we make a suggestion, litany, let us teach the Shacharit Beresha. Let us teach about morning first. Let's teach about the obligation to read Kriyat Shema in the morning first, instead of first talking about the night. And one of the shorishes that we're seeing over and over again, just want to highlight this, I kind of do some little underlines over here, is whenever you see Ketani means to teach, right? Teach the Mishnah. Here we see litany, let us teach, Detani, that it's taught. So we see kind of the same shorish, the same root coming back again and again of this word taught. So we saw our first two questions, and now we would like some answers. So what the Gemara is actually going to do is it's going to answer both questions with one answer, with one teirut. So for this, we're going to switch to yellow for our teirut. Tana akra kai dichtiv v'shechacha v'kumecha. And here we can put quotation marks around this, v'shechacha v'kumecha, which is our pasuk from Sefer Dorim. All right, so what is this answer saying? So Tana akrai kai. So the aleph over here is kind of means like about. Tana akrai kai. So the Tana, the rabbi in the Mishnah, was talking about, and kai means kind of concerning, and the word kra, which I'm going to underline over here, means a pasuk. There we go. So our rabbi in the Mishnah, when he decided to do all this, was basing himself on a pasuk. What pasuk? Dichtiv. Dichtiv means as it is written in a pasuk. So this rabbi in the Mishnah was basing himself on this pasuk of b'shichacha v'kumecha, when you lie down and when you get up. So here we see that the Gemara is doing two things, right? It's assuming b'shichacha v'kumecha, when you lie down and when you get up, is talking about an obligation to read Kriyat Shema, that what do you have to do twice a day? It's not that it's talking about learning Torah. No, it's really talking about reading Kriyat Shema. So that answers our question number one. How do we know that there's even an obligation to read Kriyat Shema? The rabbi in the Mishnah was assuming we all knew about this pasuk in Devarim. It says you read it when you lay down and you read it when you get up. So we have a scriptural source telling us that we have an obligation to read Kriyat Shema. And also, how do I know that I have to talk about the night before the day? Because b'shifcha b'kumecha, the pasuk actually says, when do you have to read Kriyat Shema? When you lie down, when you get up. So we're going to follow the order of the pasuk, and we're going to talk about the Kriyat Shema of lying down, of night, before we read the Kriyat Shema of getting up. Great. And then the Gemara is going to continue with its answer, and it's going to actually kind of restate what was going on in the Mishnah, and restate it like in clearer terms. So, v'hachi ktani. So we're going to continue highlighting over here. V'hachi ktani. Hachi means this, and ktani, as we've said kind of over and over, means taught, basically. So I'm trying to put a colon over here. It's a little bit off, but hopefully that'll work. V'hachi ktani. And this is what the rabbi in the Mishnah meant to teach, and he's going to restate now kind of what was going on in the Mishnah. So we're going to highlight this kind of in yellow. Zman Kriyat Shema Shkiva Eimat. So really, what was the rabbi kind of asking in the Mishnah when he was asking, until what time can you say Kriyat Shema at night? He really was talking about this Kriyat Shema of Shkiva, right? Of similar to Veshichacha, of when you lay down. So he was really asking, we already know that you have to read Kriyat Shema when you lie down and when you get up. So this Kriyat Shema of lying down, Eimat, similar to Eimatai, from when can I start saying it? And then it brought the answer, right, which we saw in the Mishnah, which says over here, from what time? Misha she'hakohanim nechlasin le'echol mitrumatan. From a time that the Kohanim come in to the Mikdash to eat their truma. So basically, this is how we try to answer these first two questions with this pasuk of Shishcha uvekumecha. And we kind of restate what the Mishnah was asking, that it wasn't just randomly talking about, until what time or when can you start saying Kriyat Shema, but it really was talking about the Kriyat Shema of lying down, which we should know about because it's that pasuk in Devarim. Great, so that was our kind of first answer. And now the Gemara is actually going to give us an additional answer, but only to the second question about night before day. Right, our first answer had been, the pasuk says lying down before getting up, so we're going to talk about night before day. But now we're going to have another answer. And we know there's an additional answer because we have the munach, the keyword over here of ibait ema. Ibait ema means if you want to say. This always introduces an additional answer, additional terut. So we're going to highlight this in yellow. I know there's a lot of yellow going on, but got a lot of answers. So here's your other reason why we talk about night before day. Ibait ema. If you want to say Yalif mi briato shel olam. Yalif means to derive or to learn it out. Learn it out from the creation of the world. Why? Dechtiv, as it says in a pasuk, Vayerev, vayiboker yom echad. As it says in a pasuk, and we can put some quotations over here, right, which we'll be reading on Simchas Torah, not too far away. That we learn out from the creation of the world. We have another pasuk that says, and it was night, and it was day, the first day. Meaning, even when we talk about creation, we always talk about night before day, right? So what our answers have been, we have a couple of reasons why we talk about night before day, whether it be the Shema of lying down before the Shema of getting up, or in creation, night before day. And if we're asking, how do I even know I have an obligation to say Kriyat Shema? It's the same pasuk, but Shechecha v'Kumecha. We have this Torah pasuk in Devarim telling us that we have to say Kriyat Shema twice a day, right? When you lie down and when you get up. Same as usual, I'm gonna put a screenshot here of what we were reading and translating if you want to check your work, right? We have the kushia, two kushiyot, right? Two questions. And then we have our answer, our first answer that solves both those questions. And finally, we have the end, right, where we kind of restate, first of all, what the Mishnah was really talking about according to answer number 1. And we have Ibait Ema, answer number 2 about the creation of the world, bring an additional pasuk where we have night before day. All right, that is the first part of the Gemara.